This is Modern Persian Food,
a culinary podcast for today's food enthusiast.
We talk about classic Persian flavors,
modern recipes,
and embracing culture and identity through food.
I'm Beeta.
And I'm also Beeta.
Welcome to our show.
Hello, friends. We are officially ready for summer. Bring on the tasty Juja Kebab barbecues and fun festive drinks. You'll find me poolside eating and chasing my kids. For this episode, we're reaching back into our archives to one of our favorite interviews with comedian Dan Ahdoot as we deep dive and chat about a bunch of dishes we don't always get a chance to talk about. We also talk about some up-and-coming people in the Persian food space, and happy to report that since originally airing this episode, we have actually featured them on the show. Stay tuned till the end, and we'll give you a recap.
You got it, girlfriend. You'll be poolside. I hope to be beachside with a little spritzer of my own in hand. This is a fun and flirty episode. Stand-Up Dan is a professional, and the banter is great. We hope you love it as much as we did. We're also going to mention his new book, Undercooked, at the end of the episode and link it as well. Enjoy the show.
Beeta and I would like to welcome to the show Dan Ahdoot, otherwise known as Standup Dan. He has a new series on Food Network called Raid the Fridge. He's a comic, actor, writer, has his own podcast, Green Eggs and Dan. He's Persian, and he doesn't like quince fruit.
Yeah, I've been following you for such a long time now, and that was the thing that got me to reach out. I was like, okay, I need to talk about khoresh de beh.
So as you guys know, we have an episode all about quince, known as beh in Farsi, and Dan didn't actually like it. So you don't like what it's called?
The name is so gross, like beh. It's just like, it just grosses me out so much. I don't know, and the thing I love about Persian food and sometimes hate about it is that they take such wild swings with balancing sweet and sour and savory and all this stuff. And sometimes it just gets too sweet for me in the savory dishes. And khoresh de beh, that takes me to my limit.
That is hilarious. I know. Beeta June, hi.
Hi. Hello. I was going to ask if you have texture issues, like if the beh was gross because of texture issues, but it's more of the sweet C versus sweet C savory.
Yeah, no, I'm down with all textures, okay? I'm very egalitarian when it comes to textures. You know, all that cartilaginous stuff. Like I went to a yakitori place last night where they like give you skewers of it's called soft knee bone, which is basically that part of the chicken that you're eating and you spit out because it's cartilaginous. They skewer it and like make a kebab out of it. And I'm down with that. So I'm down with funky textures.
Gotcha.
So there's a little crunchy action in there.
Yeah.
That is so funny. You have some strong feelings about some different foods. Like, tell us what you think of garagurut. What is garagurut, first of all?
Okay, garagurut. I thought I knew.
Wait. That sounds like gargling.
Garagurut.
I have to try it. I'll
it.
try it later.
Yes. Some people love it. Some people are like, can you get me some? If you're going to Iran, get me some garagurut.
It's crazy. I have zero aversions to food. I can eat everything. I can get down with disgusting, nasty organ meats and I love it. I had garagurut for the first time 2 weeks ago. My mom was in LA and we went to the Persian supermarket and she's like, oh, they have garagurut. And I'm like, what's this? And she's like, oh, it's like the most sour lavash that you can get. And I'm like, oh, cool. What is it made out of? And she's like, milk. I was like, what are you talking about? And I was so fascinated by it that I was like, I need to try this. I can live without lavash. I'm okay with it. My brother's obsessed with it, and he was there too. Mm-hmm. We took a bite of this thing. I've never made a face like this in my life. I mean, so correct me if I'm wrong, but the way that they make it is they take kashk, which is like the whey, and they just cook it down until it turns into like a black tar.
Yeah, it's super dark and like kind of dry a little bit, yeah?
Yeah.
It's like a paste. It's like really a paste.
I don't even think it's a lavash. Like, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think it's a lavash.
It's a cooked down milk tar.
Byproduct.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's super sour, right?
It's sour, but it's sour in a weird sort of bovine way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what I think was so jarring to me, is that like this wasn't sour in like a lavashak way, which is like what I was preparing myself for, like a sour cherry or this and that. This was sour like bile. It was like
Wow. Okay, so worse than the face of when you take a Persian food virgin to the restaurant, like someone who's never had Persian food to a restaurant and they take their first sip of dough. I love looking at that face.
Yeah, totally.
Because they're not expecting it to be salty, sour.
I think that's another unpopular Persian opinion I have. I don't know why I can't get down with dough. I keep trying. I keep going back.
Oh.
Okay, hold on a second. Do you like yogurt?
I love yogurt.
Okay, I thought maybe it was like the yogurt base of all of this.
No, I'm down with yogurt. I don't know. Maybe it's the carbonation mixed with yogurt. Also, I don't love drinking milk when I'm having like kebab. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. It's by the way, I want to everyone who's listening, I want you to understand. I should have prefaced this by saying that I think Persian food is one of the most incredible cuisines in the world. I think it's one of the most misunderstood cuisines in the world. I think that it's a very interesting cuisine because it's not like most other cuisines which came out of poverty. Like this came out of like royalty. So it's very opulent, which I think is really interesting. And I love it more than anything. We are literally sniper rifling the two or three things that I can't stand.
I know. We thought you could handle it. You're a stand-up. You could do it, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the foods that you actually love and are really passionate about. We kind of chatted about talking about maybe like Dizi. Tell us about Dizi, because Dizi is basically like abgusht. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the traditional way to have it is like basically in like a clay bowl, and in the restaurants would like make like a whole bunch of them and they let it cook like that in a like really hot oven or a kiln or something.
I feel like some of my favorite Persian foods are what I like to call Persian truck driver food. They've nailed this art of making like rib sticking. I mean, michasbe is like my favorite food expression ever. Like it really sticks and it's just amazing. And I think Dizi is like one of 3 of my top rib sticking Persian dishes. But yeah, Dizi is basically like they braise a bunch of meats and beans together and then they separate the liquid from the solids. And then they turn the beans and the meat into a paste. And then they serve also the broth. And you get some sangak. And you get some like raw onions, which is like the most like grandfather-y, like Persian grandpa accoutrement.
It's so good.
And there's nothing that will be as satisfying on like a cold winter day.
Yeah.
I just can't get enough of it.
Yes, definitely with the onion. A lot of times with a little bowl of torshi on the side.
Yeah.
Really kind of brings it all together. So that sounds amazing.
I just had it the other day. That's one of the things my mom makes. Oh, it's like comfort food, like you said. It's so good.
Nice. I mean, give it all to me. It's funny because I was just in New York 2 weeks ago. I was at my parents' house and my mom made me what my next Persian truck driver food is, which is Kaleh Pacheh, which to me is just like, it doesn't get any better. It's like an organ soup, basically, that has been braising like overnight. I'm seeing a lot of repeating themes here. There's like the beans and the meat stewing for like way too long. But the thing about Kaleh Pacheh that's interesting is that it has that kind of gelatinous flavor from the hoofs. So Kaleh Pacheh literally means like head and hoof soup. And in Iran, it's mostly with lamb. You take a lamb head and the hooves and you cook them down for so long. And the hooves kind of break down and you have this collagen-y, rich, gelatinous soup. It's super viscous in the best possible way. And it's cooked down with, the standard onion and turmeric deal. And in America, I think it's, just taken to the local cultures, I think it's mostly done with cow. My mom makes it with a cow hoof and a cow tongue. And sometimes she'll put the brain in as well. But it's just amazing. And I found out you're not supposed to eat that with onion. You're supposed to have it with naranj.
Naranj. Yeah, like a Seville orange.
Seville
orange.
What is that? Is it like a tart orange? What's the deal?
It's like a more sour orange. So naranj also is really great with fish.
Cool.
The skin of the outside of it is like super wrinkly.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, so that's what you're supposed to have Kaleh Pacheh with.
Yeah.
Maybe something to cut the fat.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you need some acid in there. Yeah, for sure.
My only experience with Kaleh Pacheh really is when I was younger, I had gone to Iran and they had slaughtered a lamb as a sacrifice, basically. A bunch of us had come on a trip and they wanted to ward off any evil spirits by sacrificing a lamb. What they did is then they divide up all the meat and you give that to the poor people.
Yeah.
And so that's like your way of warding off evil and getting good karma, essentially. But they made a Kaleh Pacheh like at the house. I remember it was delicious, but then I didn't really want to know too much because I think there was like the eye was part of it. And that was like a delicacy. And it just was like a really weird thing for me. But it did taste delicious. So, I mean, you said your mom makes it, but do you think people, like pretty much you get it at a restaurant? Can you get it at like restaurants down in LA?
You can. There's a couple places that have it. I haven't been as enamored by it because I imagine it's sitting around for a long time and not too many people are ordering it.
Right.
But
or like frozen or something.
Yeah. It doesn't have that same feel to it. But one of the things that makes it really interesting to me, and this is kind of a running theme in most Persian food, is that I feel like in America, you read cookbooks or, Italian cookbooks or French cookbooks, everything has a stock, like a beef stock or a vegetable stock. And I feel like Persians don't do that. They kind of organically, like Ghormeh sabzi is basically just water and herbs and lime that is the braising liquid. And, like these soups like ashes and whatnot, it's water with all this stuff, which I think is more complicated to do because you have to just like really pack it full of herbs and flavor. You're kind of letting the ingredients speak for themselves. You're not just drowning everything in stock. And I've always kind of loved that about it. It's like the base to everything is not like a mirepoix. It's just like onions and turmeric. And it's like, all right.
For sure, onions. You got to fry the onions.
Yeah.
And I'm big on garlic. I love garlic.
Yeah, for sure.
And a lot of times if the dish does have meat, then the meat braising in that liquid of just the water and the herbs and the onions and the oil is really what flavors it too. So it's, to your point, it's not a separate broth, but if there's meat, that makes its own broth as it's cooking.
Yeah.
I'd love to get you to tell us about like the differences between Aash Sholeh Ghalamkar and, the famous Persian soup Aash Sholeh, for example.
Yeah.
I think meat is the big difference, isn't it? Like from Aash Sholeh is more like a vegetarian soup, whereas Aash Sholeh Ghalamkar has meat in it. Would you say that's the biggest difference?
I think so. I think Aash Sholeh Ghalamkar, the reason I love it is because it's kind of like the ugly stepsister of Aash Sholeh. Aash Sholeh is the belle of the ball. Everyone loves Aash Sholeh. It's so great. Everyone's making it. Everyone's posting pictures of it because it's so cool. But... And don't get me wrong, I love it. I mean, it's basically like Persian ramen, and I love ramen. So to me, it's like really delicious. But then there's the ugly stepsister who's not as beautiful. Like it doesn't look good. It's just like a gross kind of looking, like.
I don't know her.
Oh, she's awesome. She's like nasty. She's nasty, but she's way more fun, like.
Better personality.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is in this soup? Everything's in this soup.
Okay. I mean, it's funny. I'm realizing that I have a type. Like I have a theme, which is like beans and meat that are mixed together.
Beans, meats, fresh herbs, all cooked together.
Yeah, it seems like it seems like Dizi, but Dizi is like a deconstructed Sholeh Ghalamkar. This is like you keep it together and then you also add a ton of herbs at the end. It is such a wonderful, I just can't get enough of this soup. It's like the most comforting soup I've ever had.
So it's Aash Sholeh with meat.
And no noodles.
No noodles.
I mean, that's like a bastardized like definition of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much.
But again, sticking with the theme of like Persians getting like creative about their broths and stuff, the thickening agent in this is beans that get like ground up to make it a thicker soup, which... Awesome. But there's like 5 kinds of beans. There's like mung beans in it, which is, I think that's probably the predominant bean because it has that kind of green earthiness to it. And I can't get enough of it. And there's something so exciting about when you actually take real beans that are dried and you rehydrate them and use them rather than the canned ones. That is like something you can totally tell the difference. And a good Aash Sholeh Ghalamkar just takes so much work. And it is so worth it in my humble opinion. But yeah, I'm realizing that I totally have a type. This is like I like beans and meat like ground up.
Yeah. I mean, that's like
so many of the Persian dishes
I know,
have
it's
some
true.
of that. So it's definitely some of the key ingredients. But yeah, that's interesting. Do they make it with beef or lamb typically?
Both. I mean, but they're like fun
Okay.
cuts. Like if you're making it with lamb, it's like the neck,
Mm-hmm.
or like with the beef, it'll be like the brisket or something. Like, you know, they're like the fun,
Oh,
the
yeah.
fun pieces that need a lot of love to cook down.
Yeah.
Talking about like making a soup from everything in the cupboard or everything in the kitchen sink, that brings me to your show. Tell us about your show.
Wow, that was a really, really good transition. Yes.
Oh,
so
thank you, yeah.
My show is called Raid the Fridge, and it's on the Food Network on Tuesdays right after Chopped, 10 p.m.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's huge.
I know. I'm so excited, guys. I think like, you know, look, it's exciting to be able to represent Persians on Food Network.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
Thanks,
So good.
guys.
Yeah. What that question?
So it comes out December 28th.
Yeah.
We have 6 episodes thus far, and they're going to see how they do. I think it's really fun. Basically, you have 4 chefs and 4 mystery fridges. They don't have no idea what's in them. And they're legit, like, really, really good chefs.
Oh, awesome.
And so they pick a fridge based on, like, the pictures and the magnets on the outside. And then, like, they open it, and they have, like, a challenge. Like, you have 20 minutes to make brunch. And so it's kind of like a bootleg Iron Chef. And
I love it.
Yeah, the winner wins $10,000. So each episode there's a winner, and I'm hosting it. So it's like a funny version of these food competition shows because I'm so sick and tired of the overly serious food competition show where, like, you know, they treat them like they're curing cancer. It's like, relax, everyone, you're making an omelet. So like it's more of a comedic version of a food show. So
How fun. Oh, I can't wait to watch it.
yeah.
That is awesome. You know, so for your show is making a meal based on the ingredients that you have in this said fridge.
Yes.
And something that, like, a theme that comes up a lot in our podcast is, you know, I'm always saying that, like, if you don't have it, like, substitute with, like, something you do have. That's kind of, like, important to making Persian food these days is, you know what, if you don't have the exact 4 types of beans to make a certain soup, it's going to be okay. You can substitute a different kind of bean. You can omit that bean, for example, using, like, the resources that you have to make Persian inspired food. I mean, personally, I don't necessarily go exact per someone's recipe. Like, I kind of mix it up a little bit and change it up and just bring Persian flavors to your table, share them with your friends.
For sure. Maybe there'll be a Persian-esque refrigerator.
A little leftover Kaleh
Yeah,
Pacheh
could you
for
imagine?
you.
I've always dreamed of being on one of those shows, but honestly, like, it sounds like this is a time competition, right?
Yes.
I'm not good under time pressure.
Oh yeah, this is time.
I could do like very like slow, meticulous, make it look beautiful for the blog or Instagram photo, but I'm not a professional chef. I would think I would just fall to pieces. I'd need to take doggy Prozac and then I could be on the show.
Can I tell you something crazy that's going to tie us all back right here to the podcast?
Yes.
Please.
There is a Persian chef in one of the episodes, and her name is Beeta.
No way!
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Is it Beeta's
Which one?
kitchen official? No.
No, it's Chef Beeta Mohajeri.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
No way, dude.
She's an amazing chef. You should follow her. She's like a private chef in Orange County.
Yes.
Oh,
She makes really pretty food.
Yeah, you know, I didn't know a lot of people with the name Beeta before. And then now, like, over the last few years, I'm like, wait, there's yet another person in food whose name is Beeta? Like,
That's
that
crazy.
is so funny.
oh my
Wow.
gosh. Well, yeah, we'll be rooting for her. She's one of the beats.
One of the beats.
Yes, one of the beats.
But I gotta say, you said something really interesting, which I think gets to the crux of my issues with Persian food in America, which is, you know, you're substitute a different bean if you have it.
Yeah, you don't like my style.
No, I do. And the problem is I feel like Persians, especially the older generations, they're such purists with their ingredients and they're so precious with them. I once made guacamole and I put somar in it and my mom lost her
good
shit.
idea.
Like she was like,
Oh, really?
"You are so stupid. You're putting somar in guacamole, you idiot." Like they're just so precious about their ingredients and I think they need to be less so.
Oh, but you're right. I've gotten a lot of backlash. One time in one of my recipes, speaking of, we just talked about Aash Sholeh, I used yogurt.
Yeah.
That's like
I use yogurt.
sacrilege. You know, you gotta
Yeah.
use cash because, yeah, you don't put yogurt. Like, no.
It's a broader conversation, right? Like I think Koreans have their David Chang, right? They have someone who took Korean food and kind of turned it on its head and created different stuff out of it. And it's a lot of most good Italian chefs in America are not cooking Italian food that you get in Italy. They're cooking using regional ingredients in America to create something different. Like, one of the best pasta places in New York, Babbo, when I was in New York like 15 years ago, was making pastas using jalapenos, like using stuff that's local. And I feel like we need that. We need our Neo. We need our chef who's going to take Persian food to the next level and to the masses and to kind of evolve it. And, again, don't get me wrong. I love grandma's cooking. I do.
Right.
But I also feel like most Persian restaurants in America are just like kebab places and everything else is like an afterthought. So I don't know. I think there needs to be a shift in the whole culinary conversation around Persian food. And like, we need to figure out what the next 2.0 is going to be.
Totally, Dan. Like Persian street food or something.
Yeah, something.
Like a food truck.
Maybe.
There's some coming out. Some Persian food trucks coming out. Speaking of New York, there's one in New York that they make little mini tagine.
Yeah.
I think they're called June. And they're like in the Queens Night Market.
Oh, yeah.
San Diego, the Tahdig taco. Have you guys heard of those guys?
Oh, yeah. I saw that too.
Yes, I saw that.
It's getting there.
There is the Tahdig taco truck. One of my friends, I don't know if you're familiar with Vartamelon, VAR.
Yeah, she's great.
Oh my
We
God.
love her.
She's like Tahdig art.
She's your friend? Oh, you're lucky.
Yeah.
Her stuff looks good.
You guys should have her on. She's dope.
Yeah, we should have her on. She makes this saffron Rice Krispie treats.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. I'm like, why didn't I think of that? It's like such a good idea.
Yeah, her sweets are amazing. And she was making like Lava Shack using apples and just like, from scratch. And she's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. For people who are able to go out and experience that's like amazing. And we definitely have to support those chefs who are being innovative and taking Persian food to a new level. For the rest of us who are like, trying to incorporate Persian flavors into like our everyday menus, yes, the ash that someone's grandma is going to make is going to taste so much better than a version that I throw together using canned beans and frozen spinach and like a bunch of herbs and stuff like that. But I'm so proud of doing that too. It's just like we're trying to adjust it and modify it to make it work in our lives. And yeah, we're going to have to kind of make some concessions along the way, but I'm still happy to make Aash Sholeh and serve it for fun occasions and try to make Aash Sholeh Ghalamkar one of these days too.
Yeah. And look, I think that an easy way to do that is just to have some of the, like, I will look for any excuse to put limu omani in anything.
I love limu amani. Will you eat it? Do you actually eat that part that's in your qeymeh?
Oh, no, I won't act. Do you?
Uh-huh.
Oh, my God.
I'll eat it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I eat it too.
Wow.
I love it. I love sour.
And gorme sabzi or qeymeh.
I didn't know you're allowed to eat it. I didn't even know that I'm allowed.
Yeah, you totally should eat it.
You have permission.
I did.
And then in the inside, you can see it. You can sometimes find a little seed in there.
I love it. But like, even like, I just have the powdered stuff and I'll just throw it in like anything, like as a fun citrus flavor,
Totally.
And I discovered this like penicillin was discovered. One day I needed lemon for, I don't even remember what I was making, but I was out of lemon. So I was like, why don't I just throw in some limu omani in? It was like so much better.
Yeah.
Totally. That's how the best recipes are discovered.
I think normalizing Persian ingredients and not just saving them for like, okay, it's AIDS, so I'm going to make like that thing that I've been like, procrastinating on for 6 months.
Yeah, that's stale now.
Like a lot of these ingredients are very versatile and fun to put into different dishes. I'm telling you, I put limu omani in like ramen when I get ramen delivered to my house.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
It is. It's such a like beautiful citrusy. It kind of has a little umami citrus flavor to it. That's a good call. I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah, and it's also funky too. It's like, again, it's like citrus that's been like burnt in the oven. It's like got that kind of earthy deepness to it. It's like old man citrus, It's not young and bright. It's old and
stories to tell.
Gosh.
It's like arthritic. It's great.
I think I will never be able to unthink that reference. Oh my gosh. Hilarious.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for taking the time to be on our show and talking to us about Persian food and telling us about your new show and all the things you got going on. That's awesome.
Dan, June, thank you so much. Can you tell us where folks can find you?
Yes, you guys can find me at Standup Dan on all the social medias. And my podcast is called Green Eggs and Dan. Also fridge based. I interview celebrities all based on what's in their fridge. So if you want to see what's in Jacques Pepin's fridge or in Henry Winkler's fridge, you can listen to that. Yeah, and then my Food Network show, Tuesdays at 10 o'clock. Please support and tell your friends about it. First time a Persian's getting on prime time, so hopefully it sticks.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hopefully it sticks as well as an abgush sticks. Mishaspe.
Yes.
Oh,
So
yes.
cozy.
Thanks for having me, guys. Like, I love nerding out on Persian food because so many Persians don't know about Persian food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like really exciting to be able to speak to fellow passionate Persian eaters. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Beeta June.
Bye.
Bye.
I love this episode.
I love it too. It's so much fun. I love the dishes we talk about, and he's just such a funny guy. I love how we featured June rice cups and Tahdig tacos in last year's Persian food truck series we did. Also, Vartamelon on Tahdig art, and of course, the other Beeta on the topic of conquering culinary challenges.
More on Dan's book. It's called Undercooked: How I Let Food Become My Life Navigator and How Maybe That's a Dumb Way to Live. I know I'm personally really excited to read this book. I might just get the version where he reads it, because in looking into it, it sounds like it's a very heartfelt description of why he's so passionate about food. And I want to hear that.
We'll link to his book and all the episodes mentioned in our show notes. Stay tuned for next month's episode where we deep dive into the festive summer syrup called sikanjabin. Until next time, friends.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Modern Persian Food Podcast with Beeta and Beeta. Thanks for spending time with us. If you've enjoyed what you heard today, consider telling a friend or giving us a good rating. You can subscribe to our show for free on your favorite podcasting app or find us online at modernpersianfood.com or on Instagram for the recipes and information we talked about today. We'd love to hear your thoughts and see you next time.